Hi all, welcome to this quick video just discussing how to modify and import the list of data points needed to program your project. It's very time consuming to try and create individual points within PS4000, but luckily the developers have allowed us to be able to import huge numbers of data points very quickly and create a wide number of data points ready for quick import into PS4000. So we use Excel for this, and we have a standard format for creating the data points, and we then have to administer a strategy or structure in order to be able to find the data point that we want when we're creating our project. So for example, if we're programming a heating circuit, we don't really want to be looking at lists and lists of meter points. Or if we're programming an air handling unit, we don't want to be sifting through lots of boiler points, as the case may be. So we have this option to be able to create little small group partitions, if you like, in order for us to be able to source and locate the points that are of interest. But first, if I relate this strategy back to PS4000, you can see the similarities of what actually happens. So in PS4000 we have a project name, and then we can create an area, or we can have multiples of these, as many as we like, and I've just called it building. I've got another group underneath called plant room, and then another subgroup called heating, and then I've broken heating down into two little project areas called inputs and outputs. Now, as you program lots of projects, the input list will become very extensive, and so will the output list. So what I'm going to demonstrate is how we can then create different groups of inputs and outputs depending upon the function that we're looking for. So for example, this could be zone 1 heating. I could have another group for swimming pools, another group for boilers, primary pumps, secondary pumps, hot water, etc. And I can create my own little strategy of point groups, and I can import this as a template library every time I create a project. So using the template for the data import, you'll see that the first line of a particular point starts off with BI. That would be if it's a binary input. It would be AI if it was an analog input, AO for an analog output, or BO for a binary output, or a digital output as we sometimes call that. So as you can see here, I've already created a number of binary inputs. The second character in the structure is P for Papa, and that means physical. It's a physical connection to the outstation. And then we are straight into the text structure that PS4000 allows us to use, and this allows us to create our own sub menus or sub options within each individual level. So here you can see I have a grouping for meter points, and here I have a grouping for heating zone 1, and further down the list I've got some more for heating pumps, and I can create my own groups, and these will appear in PS4000 as heating, air handling units, or pumps, inputs, meter points, and then I can quickly find the ones I'm interested in when I want to drag and drop them onto the I/O of the outstation. So in order to create more points, if for example I wanted to have in an office block, I wanted a sales floor lighting meter, I would identify the particular area I'm interested in my template, introduce a new line by right clicking and then selecting insert. This will give me a new line, and then I can select the line above and select the little black blocks and just drag it down, and this will copy the line above exactly the same. I then click on it, and then I can edit the text above to be the meter type I am looking to have. Let's call it lights. Okay, easy as that. So it's a binary input, and it will have the specific title when it's pulled into PS4000 called sales floor lights meter. Again, if I wanted to introduce more points at the same time. It's very easy to use the option of find and replace in Excel, where, as you can see here, I have all of these points called heating zone 1. Now these are typically all the objects that I would associate to having a heating loop in a control system. What I can then do is I can copy the whole group, introduce those new points as so. Now I can select my new points where I already have zone 1. I've now duplicated them. So as I've selected the whole context of those lines, I can now select find and select replace, and now I can rename zone 1 as zone 2 and then select replace all, and that's it. I've now created all the data points I needed for heating zone number 2, and that's it. So on the next video I'll show you how to import this list and show you what it looks like.